Welcome to Creating Harmony, the podcast. I'm your host, Cecilia Berkley, and I'm here to guide you through the art of embracing every moment, both the joyful and the difficult. Today's episode is all about creating harmony by learning to honor the sad times in our lives. We often strive for constant happiness, yet there's a quiet beauty in the heaviness of life. Those tender moments we feel the most vulnerable. It is in these times that we truly learn to understand ourselves, to heal, and to grow. Today, we are going to delve into the idea of holding space for our sadness and letting it coexist with our joy, discovering how it can become an integral part of our personal harmony. So grab a cup of tea, find a quiet place, and let's journey together through the softness of these moments and learn to embrace the fullness of our human experience. I am so excited to introduce my very first guest to my first podcast. So excited. Is this a dream? Is this a reality?
It might be.
It might be.
It might be a little bit of both.
Here to witness. And here is my beautiful friend, Jessica. Jessica, thank you for being here today.
It is my absolute honor, blessing, and pleasure to be here. I just adore you, and I'm just going to say yes.
Yes.
Whatever you say, I'm going to say yes.
But it had to be this way because
Yes.
I adore you too. And we share so many things, and we've been through so much. And I wanted us to have the conversation again among friends, women,
Yes.
and to share with our world out there that are craving to hear stories like our stories.
Absolutely.
So talk to me a little bit about who was Jessica. Well, let's talk about a little bit back. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Talk to me about that.
How far do you want to go back?
Ooh, I know, right? Tell me when you hit those hard times that impacted your life.
Yes, I think when I look back, the biggest struggles of my life were probably in my first marriage, and I go back a little further from that to see my role that I played in that. And because my dad went to medical school when I was he was 32. So I was trying to figure out, I think I was probably 6 or 8. And so he just wasn't around, he wasn't available. He wasn't emotionally available most of my life, especially from medical school on. Mm-hmm. And so I see that I had this pattern of being attracted to older men, to looking for love, I guess, in all the wrong places. Yes. When I met my ex-husband, my first husband, I just felt this connection with him. This, people talk about it. It's I could finish his sentences. There was something really powerful and special that brought us together. And I always think that everything happened for a reason. And I just fell head over heels in love with this man. And I also think that I have an adventurous spirit, and I always wanted to go to other places. Here was this man that was from across the country. He was from New Hampshire, outside of Boston. And being entangled with him gave me the opportunity to move across the country. So I think that was also very enticing to me as I'm looking back at my, at my life now. And so I really was so in love with him. And I think I also say I was born with rose-colored glasses, which can be a really good asset when you learn to set boundaries, but I just saw all his potential. I could see him in his highest potential, and our whole time together, he just never could quite see it in himself. And he had a lot of trauma that he grew up with and everything. I mean, just really things, people dying very close to him, taken their own life, really, really dark things. So I stuck with him through everything. And when his dad died, he just kind of went off the deep end. And that was the darkest time for me because he just didn't know how to handle that. And he kind of regressed to being a child rather than being an adult. And so there was a lot of nights I just spent crying by myself. He wasn't home. He'd just like disappear, be off, no, no phone call, nothing. And my daughter was young. We had a child together. He has a son. And that is when I really felt my heart just broken. Like I felt like a broken person, and I really wanted to not love this man. Mm-hmm. I was just like, please take this love I have for him because it's breaking my heart. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I could do, I started to find books, and this was like before podcasts and stuff, I just started to find the things that were kind of like in the self-help area, I guess. So I remember finding Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now.
But before you talk about, because I do want people to share those books that you read in, do you feel like when this happened with him, when he was not present, did it went back to when your father was not present? Did it feel like what's happening?
Yes.
I love this man and he is not present.
Yeah.
He is fading away. Do you felt?
I felt that. I don't know if I tied it into that. I don't think at that point I had figured out.
But now,
absolutely, I can see it. And it's like, it's still not working for me to find this love outside of myself, but I was very loyal, so I wasn't going to find it outside my marriage. Like that was something that was really important to me, to not seek it again. So something inside me said, it's got to, I have to deal with this right now. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like time to leave. There were times when I got so close, like I was ready to walk out the door and move back to Arizona because my family's all from here. And it was almost like I could feel like just feeling the resistance, like, no, it's not time. Yeah. It's not time. So if it's not time, then I have to look in myself and start to find the strength within me to get through.
But I'm sure you went through a lot with him, talking to him. He was not ready to confront his emotions. And, that's most men, not all men, but most men have a hard time with feeling those emotions and sharing them with their woman.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think he could see glimpses of that trauma that was like showing up in his life, but he just wasn't ready to deal with it, And I think I spent a lot of time.
He didn't know how.
And he didn't want to learn.
No.
We even talked about counseling. He's just like, no, because he went to counseling when he was a teenager and that didn't work. And, and so it was like I was at an impasse, but I also knew it wasn't time to go because I'm really like, I've always followed my heart. So I was living in New Hampshire because I followed him across the country. We got married here after knowing each other 6 months. Not saying I recommend that, but that's what I did because I followed my heart and I moved across the country. So it was even feeling stuck because like he was who I had out there.
Of course. And you're sharing your story. And I'm sure that there's many women out there that can relate. Mm-hmm. And I can relate.
Yeah.
I was also abandoned by my father. Mm-hmm. And I had daddy issues without knowing that that's what it was.
Yes.
I married at a very young age as well. And we had to go through a divorce, separation, having a young child. Mm-hmm. And I can understand the same thing. And again, we are so emotional as women, and we can communicate with our loved ones. But again, sometimes a man can be in his 100% ego and does not want to recognize that he's either broken, he's hurting, because he's the protector. He's there to protect the family and the wife, and they don't want to show vulnerability. And it's hard. And when men want to change, they have to want to.
Yes.
Or it's not going to work.
Yes. And he was a salesperson as well. Like that's his natural ability. He's very personable. So he really sold me on himself a lot when it was not going well. And when it was good, it was really good. It was amazing. And when it was bad, it was really bad. It was terrible.
So this was a product of what happened when you were a young girl.
Yes.
Obviously. Trying to find the love and
outside myself.
Yes, yes, and feeling whole. You were looking for someone to make you feel completed.
Yes.
Because you didn't know. I didn't know. That's what we think is supposed to be.
Yeah, we watched all the fairy tales, all the romantic movies, and that's how, you need someone.
Yes, you're right. And a lot of times we also, as women, I mean, I'm talking, because the way I was raised, we can put a lot of demanding on the men too.
Yes.
But you are the man. But you need to do that. But why? And now that we learn so much, right? It's like we have to do this for us. To be able to help the ones that need help or need us.
Yes.
And back then, you like desperate little child, in a way, young girl, did not know how to cope with that.
Exactly. And I was hiding it from my daughter.
Yes,
because I didn't want her to see my pain. So
that's another. I wanna talk about that, Jessica, because most of us, mom, when we go through that, and again, I don't know how you were brought up, but my upbringing is like, I never saw my mother crumbling, crying. My father was a womanizer. He abandoned us several times. But my mother will not show her emotions. It's like, you don't cry unless I'm dying. You save your tears until. So I think that we hold that from our own kids. And it comes, the same, goes back, we follow the same example.
patterns.
Yes. How did you deal with that, having a little girl?
I don't know. I felt like I was protecting her maybe by just, I remember, and mostly the things that would happen when he wouldn't be home or whatever. It was at night. She was asleep anyways. So, but I was, I'd be up all night because I was just so heartbroken. And I really fell into that victimhood mentality of like, how could he do this to me? Yes. I'm so kind. I'm so forgiving. I'm so loving. How can he do this to me? And then there's also that protection of, you want to almost let the kids think that it's perfect and that everything's great.
You're right. We do say that. How can he? How can?
Yes.
If I'm a good woman, I'm loyal. How can he? Let's expand on that. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I know there's out there men that are amazing. They are truly amazing, but they don't know how to even begin. Again, he was not ready, because even though you talked to him, he was blinded. He didn't want to see it. Yeah. He was not ready to see it. And he was hurting, obviously.
It was the biggest aha moment for me when I go, it just has nothing to do with me. Okay. I'm just collateral damage because he can't show up for himself. So it's not him doing anything to me. I'm just kind of the unfortunate bystander of this hurricane of his emotions that he can't deal with. And so that was really empowering, because it's like, it actually has nothing to do with me whatsoever.
How long did this relationship
17 years.
17 years.
17. 17. You heard that right.
There is 1 year, 2 years, 17, 20. You were brave enough to pull away. Yeah.
Yes.
Now 17.
I know, and people will look like that. They'll be like, 17 years, couldn't you do it? You made it this far. Like, couldn't you hold on? And for me, hitting the 17-year mark and being where we were, which was not in a great place again. Yes. And it wasn't like horrible for 17 years straight, or I would have left a long time ago. It was that roller coaster I was on of being like, great, like the highs were high and the lows were low. And then at 17 years, and it was really started to really fall apart at my 40th birthday and beyond, it was like, my parents were married 27 years and got divorced. I'm not doing this another 10 years and then getting divorced anyways. Like, it just didn't make intellectual sense.
And this is something that you did on your own, because I know you think about your life very deep. Yes. And you realize that this is not the pattern that you wanted. This is not the life that you wanted. But talk to us about what was some of those effects. Being in that relationship that was not something, it was not making you your happiest. So you were not your happiest being in there. Yeah. Something was off, out of balance. What was some of maybe health affects.
Oh,
Yes,
didn't even
yes,
talk
because
about that.
because this is the
Yes.
thing. Some people say, I don't know what's going on. I feel this. They do not realize there's emotions can make us very sick.
Yes. Maybe 6, 7 years, probably right around 7 years, I started to have a lot of health issues.
Mention some of those.
I believe the first one was eczema. I had really bad eczema on my hands. And then I had, it's hard to remember what happened when, but I had alopecia areata.
Let's talk about that again and
Yeah.
say it a little bit louder, because I work with women all the time.
Yes.
And they believe it's something that they were born with. Okay, so explain to me, say it again, what it was that you experienced.
Oh, eczema. So they're autoimmune responses, but eczema and alopecia areata. I had vertigo. I had nystagmus. I had a tachycardia, which is a irregular heart rhythm. I mean, all sorts of things. And my body was just, it felt like it was falling apart at like 32. And I went down the Western medicine route because that's what you do. And my dad's a Western medicine doctor. He's retired now, but I wasn't getting any answers. And I knew that I didn't have the letters behind my name. I don't have the accreditations on my wall. But this is all related. I knew intuitively all this has to do with each other. And yes, it happened around the time that not too long after my ex-husband's dad died. And then his whole thing, and when it was just that whole emotional side of it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And then I had all these things happening simultaneously, dealing with a marriage that was flopping.
And Jessica, this happens
Yes.
all the time, where women have so many illness, hormone imbalance. That's just saying something that most people recognize.
Yes.
Tumors, could be cancer, you name it, and they still in that relationship.
Yeah.
They still are not willing to see what the core of it all is.
Absolutely.
They are afraid to see that that is what's causing their illness.
They're more comfortable with the devil they know rather than, the unknown. The unknown's scarier than the life that they have now.
That's very true.
And so I don't think I was afraid to leave my ex. I just never felt like the time. I can't really, all I know is like it wasn't the time until it absolutely was. And then when it was, there was no question in my mind that this was the right move,
I'm very proud of that. But when you were little, did you dream big? Did you had bigger dreams and aspirations? Because that doesn't happen all the time, where you know what's happening, but you still are going to do whatever you can to get out of it.
Yes. I think I've always been a dreamer, and I've always really, really followed my heart. And it's like my heart is so strong that I just follow its guidance. And then sometimes it literally almost felt like a hand stopping me at my heart when it wasn't time to make that leap, to make a huge change like that. It could definitely be that I knew somewhere intuitively, like when this marriage would finally dissolve, I would come back home to Arizona. So I can't imagine my life. My daughter, I would never live my life very far from her. We're just so connected. And so I knew that would be me being responsible for taking her away from her dad at some point if we were to move and separate.
Yes, and this is why you and I aligned in many ways, in many areas. And I wanted to share a little bit about me because this resonates with me. I do believe that I am a dreamer, and my life was very difficult as a child. And I remember me putting myself into a little bubble of protection. I created that at the age of 5 years old, and because I knew that was the only way for me to survive. Now, I knew that I was destined to do more and to do better. I guess it's something that I probably told my youngest self. And I hold on to that promise to nowadays. And every time I'm doing a big step or want to do something bigger and better, because I want to always share the best version of myself for everybody. And it is uncomfortable, yes, but we need to follow that intuition that we have, that we know we can and we will. And people say, but it's scary. Absolutely. I'm not going to be here saying it's not. It is. But we're talking about this, right?
Yes.
We will do it anyways.
You're scared and you do it anyways.
You're scared.
Yes.
I don't believe in the term, what is the word people are scared that you talk about, that you're fearless.
Yes.
I don't believe that exists. Not in my world.
No.
Fearless, maybe for somebody that is perfect, but I don't know any human that is perfect. So I like that, but I don't use it for me. It's like, yes, you're afraid, girl, but go out there anymore.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah. And it'll be okay. And it'll get a little easier with each step you take.
Yes.
You'll have a little less fear.
So you knew, the bottom line is you knew that you wanted more. That's not the life that you wanted.
No, I always knew I wanted more. I deserved more and I had more to bring to the world. And I couldn't feel, when you're in that fight or flight, when you're living in fight or flight, that's your life, it's really hard to bring your fullness and everything, all your potential to the world. So I even had an opportunity at one point. I've been a hairstylist for 20 years, and that's part of what I'm doing now. But at one point I had the opportunity to open a salon with one of my really good friends when I still lived back east. And we got pretty far in the planning, and then I just was like, I cannot rely. I don't have a partner. I never had a partner in my first marriage, unfortunately, because he just wasn't able to be at that level. It was more like I had 3 kids.
Yes, yes.
And I walked away from it because I didn't feel supported, like I could do this.
But you did it. Now,
At
let's
a different
talk about
time,
this.
but
Yes,
I did do
but you
it,
did.
yes.
You know, some moms or women, they may not have kids, maybe they do, maybe 1 or 2, and they will say, because I am afraid and scary, which it is, I have a little one and I just cannot walk away. So I will say this, it is their excuse perhaps that I can, because I depend on this man. He is a provider. Or what will you say to those women that they're still in that mentality? There's a lot of them that they're still there.
Yes. I would say you have to, I know as hard as it is, you have to acknowledge your thoughts, your logical mind. Like, I can't do this. Like, logically on paper, it makes no sense. But what's your heart telling you? Because if you follow your heart, if you really listen and you really tune in, there's always a way, and God will support you and guide you to the next. It's just taking the steps to get there and being able to tune into that awareness, because it's really hard. We put so much weight on the logical mind, but it really is just a computer. The logical mind should be in service to your heart,
Yes.
rather than the other way
Yes.
around. So and I've talked to people, I've had plenty of clients that have been in the same situation or similar situations.
How do
and
you teach them that?
I say, I don't know. I just know that when I knew it was time, and I made the effort to do it. And then all these things opened up, these opportunities, because I said yes to myself and I set my boundaries of what I will and will not take. And that's where you have to get to, because you might be in a place where you are done, but maybe your heart's like, not yet.
Yes.
Not yet. So that's the hard thing. You can't take anyone's advice. I can't be like, yep, go pack your bags, get out now. Only you're going to know for sure what your heart is telling you, but you have to be willing to listen and follow it, even when it doesn't make logical sense, because I'm telling you, it will eventually.
It will. It will.
And my life is so much better than I could have ever imagined. And I knew, I think I came to myself to tell myself that at one point, like, it's going to be way better than your wildest dreams, by taking that chance.
You made the decision. Now, you love them. When you made that decision to walk away, you still love him.
Yeah.
And so you made that decision. Let's think about this. Now with a heart. because the heart was with him though. You have to make that with your intuition, with your cold head.
Yeah.
You have to make the decision, because if you would have listened to your heart, your love heart, you would have said, I love him, I'm still gonna stay.
I think I loved him, but also knew that it was like a love for myself equally. You know, like I still love him. He's the father of
You wish
my
him well.
child. I wish him well, and I send him love. I'm just not in love with him
I love that.
whatsoever. Like that
love that.
person that was in love with him isn't really here anymore. Like she's been retired. It's like when you retire your old wardrobe.
Yes,
you know?
I love that, because yes, I have said the same thing about people in my life, that yes, I still love them, I still love him, but I'm not in love with him, which we'll talk about this, but one of the things that represent us is how we love, that we are love,
Yes.
and that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's how we flourish.
You can love people and also choose to not have them in your life anymore.
Yes.
Because you have to love yourself ultimately more than anything. And that's where the love comes from. That's
where that comes from.
Taken a long time for me to really realize it's not just a Hallmark card. Like the love truly overflows from inside of you. So everything you're looking for is right inside
Everything is. And I know that you have gone so far. I mean, you are now, and we'll talk about this because you're coming back for more episodes. But I still, no, being a younger mother and having a younger child, a child, that was probably the hardest things, because you could have probably been gone by yourself sooner, but it was having your daughter.
Yeah.
That was probably holding you back a little more.
The irony is that his absence in our marriage is part of the reason I'm so close to my daughter now. Because it was just us most of the time. It was like her and I figuring things out and going to different, her orchestra concerts and this and that. And so the irony is, like, I thank him, because I will joke with her. I'm like, I made my own best friend. Like, how'd I do that? That's pretty magical that I did that.
Something good that came out.
There was a lot good that came out.
Something about.
Yeah, and I can reflect on it now, because it's hard when you're in it. It's really hard to reflect on what it's doing for your soul's growth and maybe the growth of other relationships. And I have amazing friends back east that I would have never met if it hadn't been for him. I have such beautiful people in my life that never would have been there if it hadn't been for him. So it was perfect the way that it happened.
But I know that it was a hard journey.
Yes.
And I still want people to understand that it was. Please let them know it was a hard journey.
And I want to tell you too something that happened to me that I think is really important about. I did a lot of healing around my ex. I really saw why he was the way he was, and I forgave him because I knew it was really not intentional. I think he really did love me to the capacity he could, but he didn't love himself. And so it was just easier to be gone, to like not be engaged in the marriage. And I really, truly forgave him for that. And I felt at peace because of that. And then I was coming up against resistance when I went into growing my business. And I went to this women's retreat and we talked about, like, what is happening? Where is that sticky point for you? And what came up for me after meditation and, whatever, was the feeling of unworthiness. And it's like, I'd done all the healing. I didn't have any animosity towards him, but still in my body, I had that feeling of unworthiness, probably from even before him. But I really had to look at that and excavate that and said, that's not me anymore. I am worthy. I'm worthy of everything of all my dreams coming true. And in that moment of just recognizing that was still, that feeling was there, even though all the healing had gone on, that was a huge moment for me. So that's also, you'll come up with those because those emotions get stuck in your body, as you know, because you work with people and in our bodies. So
but I wanted you to express that.
Yeah.
Because that it is what happened also with me, and I'm sure with a lot of women that are watching, the unworthiness, not feeling enough, coming myself from a broken marriage, where I never felt understood. I never felt loved. I never felt good enough.
Yeah.
There was missing parts of me. I felt not smart enough, not good enough. And I was looking in somebody to feel that for me.
Yes.
We do that a lot.
We do it so much. And I think sharing our stories really helps other people feel that same. They're like, oh, I've been there. I feel that. I feel that unworthiness. And it's because we've given other people power over our emotions, not intentionally, but it's part of life. And then, it's easy for someone to maybe look at you and all the success that you have had and just be like, oh, it's easy for her. Oh, I can't do that. Like it's like, no, the successful people, we have like worked on ourselves mostly. It's 80% self-work and 20% strategy.
Yes,
And
this is why I wanted to do this podcast. I wanted us to share these broken pieces of us that they are who we are. They're there. But we have worked so hard to become the best version of ourselves. And we're still learning. We're still working on ourselves every single day. But here presenting in this platform what we went through, the struggles, the pain, the sufferings, is what makes us connected and human.
Yes.
And mothers and sisters and daughters and wives. That's what connects us.
Absolutely.
So I know that you come from another place now. I know that you can teach and mentor many to be there, to get where they need to get in their lives. But I want them to get to know us, get to know you. Where do you come from? Yeah. Why do you felt like that? What happened to you that you felt, that you suffer?
And I think it's all part of that journey. And I think I just have big love. I have big love. Like if I love you, I love you.
Me too.
Until I learned to set boundaries, that got me in some trouble.
Yes, but we have to learn to love us the way we love others. So strong, because I believe that identifies me who I am. I love strong. I wear my heart on my sleeves. Yeah. But in order for me to give the best of me, I needed to give that to me first. And that's exactly what you did.
It is. And now there's a whole story with me and my husband now, and he isn't as expressive.
But wait. Let's not talk
you don't want to get there yet?
Let's not talk about this husband that you have, right? Because it was a journey. Yeah. You went through a lot. And I want first for you to let us know, what was the beginnings of recognizing that the love that you gave yourself, how it was that? How do you recognize, oh, I'm worth it? Oh, I deserve better. How do you recognize that?
I think it started with realizing, like I was saying, I never really felt like I had a partner. My best friend, her and her husband, it's like, again, I wasn't like jealous of their relationship, but I was like, why don't I have that? I really want this type of relationship with my husband. And with my first husband, it just never felt like that. It felt like I told him, I want a rock. Like I want someone I can depend on and lean on whenever I need, because I feel like I'm that for you, but I don't feel like you're that for me. And I would tell him that. And so I always felt like, again, like I just had a third child, and it really all started to crumble around my 40th birthday. And I just looked and I'm like, my daughter's 15, my stepson's 19, and now there's an emotional maturity from my teenage children that has exceeded the emotional maturity of their dad, in my opinion.
Okay.
I couldn't hide it anymore. I wasn't, but I didn't want to be taught, I'm not going to be talking about their dad to them. So I was like, it was more about like looking at my daughter and knowing that I didn't want her to be in a relationship like this. Like, it doesn't matter who it is, nobody should treat her like this. So it made me look, it was like she was a mirror for me.
Was he the power you
Yeah.
needed? Was she?
Was
the
her,
power?
yes. And so that is really when I decided to start making moves towards leaving. And there was a lot of drama, kicked him out a few times, a lot of things. And I finally just got to this space where I'm like, I need to just get away from here for a week and just like clear my head. And that's when I came to Arizona to see my sister. And that was like a life-changing moment. A life-changing trip,
yeah.
I should say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can we tell women that if man doesn't want to change, we cannot change?
You cannot.
Can we repeat that? Can
Yes.
you say?
Yes. Well, that's what I was going to get to. That was the little bit I was going to say about my husband now. But yes, you can only change yourself. You can, and what it's even more beautiful when you change yourself, that's what affects other people.
Influence others.
People can watch you grow and be like, okay, what is she doing? I want to do that too.
Absolutely.
But you cannot force anyone, and don't go into a relationship thinking that all he needs is you to be
Absolutely
this
not.
amazing person.
Absolutely not.
Because
no,
let me tell you, that does not work.
that's not. And let's please, understand that you will not change your man.
No.
You can have a conversation when you met. Please go and learn for yourself first.
Yes.
Have conversations.
Yes.
And if he wants to, wonderful. But if he doesn't, then there's nothing you can do. Continue to work on yourself.
It's
Please.
so true. And that's the only thing I was going to say, and we can get up to this. But my husband now is a Capricorn. He's very work hard, He doesn't express love like I do, but I tell him, like, I have enough love for the both of us. Like, yes. I just love, and I exude it because I know it's coming from me. And I'm just allowing him his journey. He is the best partner, and he's perfect the way he is. Oh. So it's like, I don't need you to,
no.
give me all the he does it in his own way. He's an acts of service kind of. I see his growing up and his traumas growing up, and I'm okay. And I'm just like, have your own experience, have your own journey, because he still is my partner. He's my equal, and we bring different things to the table, and we're totally different. But it's perfect.
But you are in another place in your life. And another reason why I wanted to do the show and creating harmony, right? Because I had to learn to first create peace from within. Creating peace inside of me and being okay with me. Again, this journey took me years to find it, right? Not find it, I created it. But once I created that for me, I love being alone. Never used to. So I created all this. My home is a sanctuary for me. And I just created things for me that brings me peace. But this is the thing. I have 3 boys, and I always say I have 4 with my husband, right? So I don't have any other females in the house. And I learned that, okay, so you're okay with you. You can find your peace, but you need to find harmony among the people that is within you.
Yes.
That's another thing, right? That's another thing. Okay, I've learned that now. Learning to harmonize with your loved ones, your husband, your kids, your coworkers. So some people may not understand that there's 2 differences, right? Because if I continue to try to change my husband, for example, or my boys, again, it's going to not work. But seeing the most beautiful pieces of each of them, which they have many, they balance me. They bring me so much love and so much of everything beautiful in my life that if I focus on other things, it will be another broken marriage. So I harmonize with my family.
Yeah, I think that's
We
so
have-
important.
It's so important.
Yeah.
So we are sharing our own experiences, our own struggles again, but we also want to share how we did it, how we here.
Yes.
What makes you, what makes me being able to share
Yeah.
and say, you can learn this because we created it for us.
Absolutely.
This is our lifestyle. This is not just a trendy, fashionable, whatever it is, work or, you know.
Yes. It's true mind, body, and spirit
is.
work. And I think, you have to have all three. You have to have and take care and love all three to be like a truly harmonized human.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are going to help each other. We are going to learn each other here how to bring that into our world. How can you bring harmony, create harmony in your own life with your life? Your life is unique to you.
Just as it is
Just as
right
it is.
now, where can you find
As
peace
it
and
is.
harmony right now?
So can you explain to me, maybe, I don't know, let's talk about this among friends. Why is it that now this world is telling you that you make a list of what you want, right? But if you don't get it, if you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So you have this list, but if you're married, if you have kids, it's like toss them. If they don't align, just get rid of them. That's not creating the harmony among.
No.
So what can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I think it's going back to using that logic. You're like making a lot, which is, I'm not against logic and reason. Clearly, we need them on this planet. But when you're list making and like, oh nope, that person, or you're saying like, oh, they're toxic, they're this, they're that.
Yes.
What are they? Maybe. Or is there a mirror for you to look deeper within yourself? Because that is where the real alchemy and the real magic happens, when you can utilize, like if someone is bothering you and their behavior, what is it in yourself that you need to shift?
If I want to change them,
If you
right?
you don't change them. What is it that they're reflecting
Yeah.
to you? And a lot of people get really uncomfortable with that really
Yes.
quickly.
Yes.
But that's where the work is. That's the great work of your life, is to really be aware of where you can do better. And when you can, so it doesn't matter, because there's also this co-creation with a greater creator, whatever you name for it, if it's God, whatever you want to call that, but you're co-creating with a creator of everything that is. And when you just are like list making, nope, not getting this person, you're just missing out on this really special place of allowing and flow. Your logical mind might have an idea of what you need and want, but you have a small window of what's actually possible.
Yes,
when
it is.
all things are possible.
And you're right. For me, it's God, right? For me, is our Heavenly Father, our God. And for me, is the example of what true love is. And understanding what love is understanding, is being empathetic, is reasoning, is being patient, is being kind. If we know that that's who God is, then you understand that that's what we need to practice with the people that we love. We need to have that, because we need to, first you need to learn how to give that to you.
Yes, that is number one.
That's number one. We cannot give to the fullest if we are empty. That's something that we need to talk about more. And I want our conversations to have a soul in our heart, because, and I'm going to say it again, this world is making people feel lost. Because it's not just about how much money you want to make this month.
Yeah.
Yes, we need it. But it's not all about that, not in what we do. There's abundance there. But it's first pouring love into others and being kind to others, and things will come to you. It flows to you. So
Absolutely.
I am creating topics that maybe are the unpopular opinion,
That's
but
okay.
that's okay. That's just who I am. And I want to share that with, again, my world.
Yeah.
Women that are waiting to hear these topics.
Well, something that always stuck with me, I probably heard it like 10, 15 years ago, and I wasn't even in a place where I was practicing this, but it was just one of those things that hit me as soon as I heard it. And this woman said, "Make your mess your message." And I was like, that just was so profound to me, because when we do overcome things, like that's the message we can have. We can give that to someone that's in our shoes, maybe where we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That's the message that we have and the song that we can carry for other people. And so
Say the
everyone
message again.
has it
Say it
again.
Say the message.
Make your mess your message.
Yeah.
Make it your message, because you have something, you have wisdom to gain. Even if your life feels like it's falling apart right now, you have learned something in that. You have learned something and you're growing. And when you start to be really aware of how things go in life, the ebbs and flows, when challenges start to arise, you go, ooh, I can use this. This is going to help my soul grow and help me be an even more expansive version than I am. And that's like the magic, when you can really almost look forward to making your mess your message. You're like, okay, how am I going to get through this one?
Yes.
And be able to help more people on the other side of it.
This is what I say. We have to, if you want to impact people, you want to make a difference, share your mess.
Share your mess.
Share your story.
All of it,
Share it all, not just the butterflies and the, and the pretty sparkles. No, that's beautiful that you are there. Wow, power to you. I'm proud of you. But where did you start it? And there's so much mess behind, right? And I will say now I embrace it all. I'm grateful for all the mess in my life. I'm so thankful for that, because I meditate on it, and it's like, I don't want to stay in the mud. I don't want to stay there. I want to grow. I want to be better. I want to share my purpose, and I know it's yours, is to share with women, with people that are there in their mess and they don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
I want to be a reason of hope, to say, you can do it. We all have the superpower. You have the superpower. We do too. We don't have another extra power. We all have powers within ourselves, right? And how beautiful it is when we women come together with a purpose to give love to others. Love heals. Love overcomes every situation, every struggle. Don't put dirt into someone. Put love into that person, and the person is going to flourish.
Absolutely.
It's going to bloom.
So when you pour into someone, I can't agree more. And I think that's part of our original blueprint. It's part of how we came into this world, this perfect being. As children, we just know how to love, and we know how to accept each other and pour things into each other. And somewhere along the way, big T and little T trauma, it starts to dim that light that we came in with. And so now we can pour into each other and reflect the light.
And that is so beautiful. If we remember and we have glimpses of how we were as little girls or little boys, and all the love that we had for everything. I remember, that brings me a memory. I remember I was 5 years old, and every morning I will look forward to go up to recess, to go to this little area where there was a nest of ladybugs. And I remember sitting down on the ground and opening my arms and allowed all the ladybugs crawling all over my body. And I felt that they were giving me love, and I loved them, and I thought they were so cute. And everybody was standing from that side. Oh, they're gonna poke you, aren't you scared? But it you love everything, that you're not scared when you're a little girl. You are so strong and powerful, and you just run on this feeling of love that you have in your heart.
Absolutely.
And we tend to forget that.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. It's just like reconnecting with who were you when you were that little kid? What did you do? What were you into? It might really give you a window into what you're supposed to be doing now. Because I was this explorer. I looked at my backyard like this amazing place to like explore and do things. And honestly, other people's backyards too. I was exploring. So I was, sorry neighbors, growing up, I was like in a lot of your backyards, I'm just gonna say.
Cute.
But like I had this house behind me that had this massive koi fish pond. And I mean, I was like transported to another world. My neighbor right next to me, she knew I was in her yard. She didn't care, but she had all these beautiful rose bushes. And so it just to be in her yard, I mean, it was just, everything was so beautiful. And so for me, it's like looking at your life now with that childlike wonder is so powerful, and connecting with that.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I know this. This has happened to me before. I don't know if you have heard this, but there's some people out there that believe that you must kill your inner child in order for you to survive in this world. And to me, it's like, no, I can't, will never, because no. How do you feel about that?
Oh my gosh, when you said those words, like I felt viscerally in my heart, like, oh, like that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel true to me at all. And actually, that's unfortunately something my husband said about, like, because he was a sensitive child and he grew up in our country, in our Western mindset, like men don't cry, men don't have feelings, and so he would be like, yeah, I like killed that guy, like, and I'm like, no, because I love that. And he was actually even talking about when he was a teenager, and I knew him then, and I'm like, no, I love that guy. But I tell him now, I'm like, if you grew up in other countries and other, like, say, like in an indigenous tribe, and you had all these, the things that he's naturally like drawn to, and it was emotions, it's like they would be like, oh, here's our next shaman. You know what I mean? Like, you would be revered. And it's just sad in our society that, like, it's men aren't allowed to just have the emotions.
And that's very interesting.
Too.
That point. That's very interesting. And I'm going to go back a little bit, because that I remember several women said the same thing to me. But there was one in particular that said, I know that I have to kill that little girl. She said, I have to kill that because I can grow. That's holding me back. And I got tears because I remember that little girl promised me that I was going to make everything I wanted, everything I ever dreamed of come true. And I always go back and say, you know what, you believe in me before I believe in myself now. And I go back to her. And my biggest fear is not making my dreams come true. Because I promise, and I promise to myself. To myself. So that is something that I'm going to hold on to forever.
Yeah. I think it's so much more powerful to go back to that little girl or little boy and say, I got you. I see you, and I'm going to make your life amazing, and I'm going to make you proud of the adult you become.
That's right.
Like that is so much more powerful than just trying to pretend like that doesn't exist.
And that is everything for me, and that is the purpose. That giving that child giving love that I didn't have, giving the attention and the presence that I didn't have, now being able to give that to others from a full cup.
Yes.
That is my purpose in life. Because I know how it feels having that now. Yeah. I'm ready to share.
One of my teachers always says, serve from the overflow.
Yes.
Because your cup is flowing over. You feel like you have to serve.
Yes.
It doesn't even feel
overwhelming.
It doesn't feel overwhelming, and it just feels like like your purpose and your direction. And
Gives
it's,
you energy.
it gives you energy. It makes you feel good.
Yes. And again, this is why creating this podcast, right? Creating harmony.
Yes.
So we need to start creating
Yeah.
that. So we can find all the pieces. We can find success in whatever we want to do. But first, create harmony in your life. It's so crucial.
It's so important, and it feels harder to do. You know, we're in this time of what we call like info dementia, where there's so much information coming at you.
So much.
That it can just make you shut down. And we
Yes.
need to have, tune into yourself so you can have the nervous system strength to face the things.
yes.
And, that's why I'm so passionate about tying into your intuition and your heart space, because
Absolutely.
then you just know what's for you and what's not.
Tell me about it.
You know
all-
what mentors for you and who isn't. So anybody that's telling you to kill your inner child is not for you.
Exactly. No, we love to learn.
Yes.
Right. We love to learn, and it's very true. You see and you read and it's like you get suffocated. It comes a point like, oh, I'm suffocating myself. I don't know what direction I need to go
Yes.
because there's so much information out in the world. But you're right. When we know ourselves, we follow our intuition. We know what's good for us and what is not good for us. Don't follow everything. Not everything is for you.
Yes. And also, I'd like to point out, like, don't not do things because you feel like there's too many things out there.
Yeah.
Right? What we're doing right now,
Balance.
because you have a unique message to share. So do it.
Yes.
But really do it from a place of like that full cup and really tuning into your inner knowing, because it's going to get you so much more than any books, any mentors, anything will get you.
It will. And you will know when it's like, okay, I've learned that, but that's not me. That's not
Yes.
something that I definitely need
Yes.
to do. You
Yes.
know.
Yeah, because now everybody's teaching you how to do everything. So some things you maybe need to learn, and some things
That's right.
you're good.
But in life, whatever you've been through, whatever is happening to you right now,
Yes.
it's meant to be.
Yes.
There's lessons that we need to learn. So
Yes.
take it,
And
embrace
I
it.
think that's an important thing too that I've noticed, not only in my life, but the people that I help slaves. You will keep coming up to the same lesson in a different face if you don't get the lesson. If you don't get it, it's going to keep showing up.
Yes.
So
if you reject it,
if
you're
you
like,
reject it, then
"Nope."
it shows up in this
That's
person,
right.
then it shows up in this situation, and I'm still doing that. But I can almost hear like my higher self or whatever cheering when I finally get
Yes.
the damn lesson. It's like, finally, geez, how many times we got to go over this?
You needed to do it.
But you need to do it. And sometimes it's being the good girl. Like for me, that has been the lesson, is like, I don't want to cause any trouble. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't, but then what you learn is when you don't speak your truth, it makes it worse. You might hurt feelings in a different way because you didn't
Right.
speak up for yourself.
But this
So,
is the thing, though. As long as we speak our truth
Yes.
with kindness,
from the heart.
from our heart, because
Yeah.
the heart is nothing but kindness. That's what the heart is. Then we need to understand that if someone takes the message wrong, then it has nothing to do with how you deliver the message. It's how the person received that message.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you still learned the lesson.
We have
and
to
then
learn.
and you'll move on from there.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's been something that's really, I've been noticing a lot in myself and in the people I work with. It's like,
There's another thing that we
Yeah.
have learned, especially in this field, and I will say, and I will talk about more, but is to be humble.
oh, yeah.
To be able to learn, we must be humble.
Yeah. If you're not humble, life will humble you. So you might as well just start out that
And
way.
I'm sure we all experience that, right?
Yeah.
Guilty?
Yes.
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 We all have experienced that. But again, if things will keep coming back because you are operating from this big ego until you learn to listen.
Yeah.
Just embrace that change. It's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
It's
so
okay.
funny. Life will definitely, knock you down a few pegs.
Yeah,
And
I've realized in my life that when my ego was showing up so much, it was more my masculine side, my energy of the masculine side, because it's operating the feminine is what nourishes, is what heals, is what loves, is what makes people cozy and comfortable and warm. And that's what I love to use.
Yes.
It's my feminine energy. I have embraced it to the fullest. To the fullest.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I feel like my ego, when it was showing up, it was more like telling me I wasn't good enough. I didn't know enough. I wasn't smart enough. Why would anyone listen to me? Why would it, who do you think you are?
But my
to
love, that it can
expand?
be the masculine because
Yeah, no,
remember,
I'm just
right?
saying, like,
Yeah.
but it was like from that
Me too.
aspect of
Me
it,
too.
you know?
It's like, yes, like, no, don't tell me what to do, right?
Yes.
I know what I need to do. I'm the boss.
Yeah.
That is the masculine side. When we kind of bring ourselves down and to allow our feminine energy to come in control, things amazing happen. Jessica, it was a pleasure to have you today.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. I enjoyed it every second. And I cannot wait for more. You're coming back.
I
our
would
next
love to be
episode.
back.
Thank you so much. And to all of you, my lovelies, thank you for being with us today. I'm so grateful you joined me. I hope you found inspiration in the stories that we share. I wish you love, peace, and a beautifully harmonious life. Until next time.